Throughout the years, what if instead of Naruto, Sasuke Uchiha became the 7th Hokage? How different would the Naruto story be? Would things end up for better or would they turn out for worse? In today's edition of Naruto What If, I'm gonna look at just that scenario. So, just like always, in order to make this happen, we must first establish a trigger point, and I can think of no better point than the events right after Naruto chapter 699. Originally, when Naruto gave Sasuke back his headband, Sasuke vowed to hold on to it until they had the real fight. In this scenario, after taking back his headband, Sasuke will look back to Konoha and decide to turn back. Instead of going on his redemption journey to seek atonement as well as to gain understanding of how the world looks to the current version of Sasuke, whose eyes weren't clouded by vengeance, Sasuke would come to the realization that being in Konoha is the first real test for his redemption journey. For Sasuke, returning to the village that he once sought to destroy would be his first step towards atonement. Kakashi had made it clear that Sasuke was only free because both he and Naruto exhausted all of their political capital in order to keep Sasuke from being imprisoned or executed. Everyone in the village knew of Sasuke's desire to kill the 5 Kage and kill Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke was a known former associate of the Akatsuki and had gone so far as to wear the same robes of the organization that once destroyed Konoha during Pain's invasion, shattering it nearly down to its foundation. For Sasuke to truly see the world, he would first have to confront the sins of his past head on, staring into the eyes of the very same villagers that he once sought to kill. For Sasuke, this would be the ultimate test, one he would not back down from. Embracing the hatred of the villagers, Sasuke would work to change the view of himself, just as Naruto did as he was being despised for being a Jinchuriki. The difference in this scenario is that Naruto worked to overcome a hatred that he didn't understand the origin of, nor did he ever ask for it. In the case of Sasuke, he would be reaping the very seeds that he had sowed. Naruto would attempt to speak up for Sasuke. Sasuke would make it a point to endure the hatred on the condition that he passes the Jonin exams. Given the intelligence and the nature of Sasuke, I see no reason why he wouldn't be able to pass the exams quickly, which would cause our first trigger point. Seeing his rival be promoted would make Naruto actually put in the work to officially be promoted to Jonin, which by Naruto's own admission in the Boruto anime, Naruto never did. Instead, he skipped all the ninja ranks and went straight to Hokage. As the next 2 years progressed, each time Sasuke took on a mission, he would bury a small piece of his hatred for the two elders for their involvement in the downfall of the Uchiha clan by teaching at the academy and leading his own team and gaining at some point. Sasuke would tell Sakura that his vision of Hokage was once someone who united the world through fear and through hatred. But now that he'd been in the village, he understood the truth. In order to become Hokage, he would need to endure the hatred of others until he changed their mind. The very same blade that he once used in the name of vengeance would now only be used to protect Konoha, but he would swear an oath to never kill unless it was a threat at the level of Kaguya, true version of Sasuke, a ninja of Konoha who could be trusted. By the events of Naruto the Last, a major change would occur. Sasuke would be named the leader of the Hanabi rescue team, and Sasuke would be given the countdown timer. Shikamaru will remain back in the village to assist Kakashi and Tsunade in the days ahead when it came to evacuating the village. Kakashi would reason that having 2 men who defeated Kaguya on this mission would ensure the mission's success. From here, there isn't much that changes. Naruto will still find himself falling in love with Hinata, and Sasuke would bond even deeper with Sakura as the team carried out the mission. The major change that occurs is when Hinata does allow herself to be kidnapped by Toneri. I don't believe that Naruto will be hit by Toneri's Tenseigan Blast, which drained Naruto of nearly all of his chakra. I believe that before things escalated that quickly, Sasuke would have noticed that Hinata was planning something, because unlike Naruto, he wasn't blinded by his feelings for her. Sasuke would have a cool enough head to know that Hinata was acting out of character, and most importantly, he would know better than to rush into a fight with an enemy who now possessed a new dojutsu that neither of them knew anything about. Sasuke would restrain Naruto before Toneri would have the impulse to attack Naruto. This changes everything. Originally, their mission was delayed 2 days because Sakura needed to work non-stop for 48 hours to replenish all of Naruto's chakra from near absolute zero. Sakura then needed an additional day of rest in order to recover. With this event never happening, this means that Sasuke's team will arrive on the moon base a full 3 days before the arrival of the meteor that Sasuke had to destroy. With the help of Naruto's sensory skills, Sasuke would open up a portal to the moon, which it should be noted that Sasuke Sasuke at this point in the timeline would be able to do so. While we don't know the exact moment that Sasuke learned the second power of his Rinnegan, a close read of the manga between chapters 683 and chapter 685 does drop hints that Sasuke had discovered this power, which does back up the statement that he made to Naruto before their fight, that it was during the battle with Kaguya that Sasuke mastered all of his Rinnegan abilities. In chapter 683, we see Sasuke breathing heavily, stating that nothing he did seemed to work, and when you look at it, Kishimoto placed more emphasis on his Rinnegan in the subsequent panels than he did usually. In chapter 685, we see Sasuke once again panting in exhausted frustration as he stated that he was sure that he had sensed Naruto's chakra nearby in that exact space where he was looking at. Given Naruto was fighting in another dimension, this is another moment that implies that Sasuke was attempting to open up portals within the dimension, but hadn't fully mastered it by the time that Sakura and Obito rescued him. With Sasuke's team now on the moon base, this changes everything. Toneri needed a full 3-day period to fully adjust to the Tensegan, with the novelization for the Naruto The Last movie making it clear that his body was still adjusting to the new power. After Naruto and Sasuke demolished all of Toneri's puppets, and Hinata helped Naruto destroy the Tensegan bomb, a brutal beatdown of Toneri would ensue. He has absolutely no chance in this fight. The people down on Earth would see both the giant Kyuubi avatar and Sasuke's perfect Susanoo reflecting off the moon's surface as they wrecked Toneri. As Toneri tried to blow himself up, Sasuke would teleport behind Toneri and prevent him from killing himself, just as someone once gave him a second chance when he himself was lost in darkness, and now Sasuke was repaying that moment to Toneri. While this does mean that the meteor that would have destroyed Konoha never would have showed up, this would also mean that Hinata's father would never be found in the desert and would likely die, briefly leaving the Hyuga clan without a leader. After returning to the village, whatever gap in public perception that existed between Naruto and Sasuke directly after the war, it would have been erased. Sasuke would share equal credit in protecting the world, unlike what happened after the war, where Naruto Uzumaki was credited by many as being the sole person who ended the war, despite Sasuke helping seal Kaguya. It would be during that time that Sasuke would tell Naruto once again what his vision for Hokage was, which does lead to a bit of a friendly rivalry between the two. I could see her eventually coming to Konoha with the intention of confronting Sasuke. Learning of what the Uchiha clan did to Chino's clan would force Sasuke to face the true darkness of his clan, but once again, Sasuke would keep his other student Sasuke was indeed ready. The Naruto Hiden and Shinden novels make it very clear that Naruto still needed to mature more and was being groomed to be Hokage, and Kakashi ultimately held on to the position of Hokage because Tsunade wanted to step down and Naruto wasn't ready yet for the title. Kakashi in this moment would consider stepping down now that he had a true successor. By this point in the story, you have to remember, Kakashi as Hokage in only 3 years had dealt with one world-ending crisis, one crisis that could have started a war between nations, and 2 village-level threats. That's more than Tsunade had to handle in her 5 years as Hokage, after Tsunade made her very strong argument behind closed doors to the feudal lord for Naruto to become Hokage. Kakashi would do the unthinkable. Kakashi would reveal to Tsunade and the feudal lord the truth about the Uchiha massacre. Using the sly silver tongue that Yamato and others said that Kakashi was famous for, Kakashi would weave together a masterful tale. The first Uchiha to be named Hokage would officially wipe the slate clean of the Uchiha versus the Senju legacy. The boy who was spared out of love had overcome the hatred of the village that the village had planted into his soul. That boy was now a man. Sasuke's run as Hokage wouldn't last for long. In the time afterwards, Sasuke would take on the job of Hokage very seriously. However, as he looked at his sleeping daughter, still a toddler, Sasuke's mind would drift back to Kaguya, and he would wonder, why has she been building an army? Sasuke would know that only he could travel through the dimensions to find the truth, and he wouldn't be able to live with himself if anything happened to his village, or if anything happened to his family, if it was something he could have prevented. And so it will be here in the timeline that Sasuke would step down as Hokage and name Naruto as the 8th Hokage. Sasuke would state that his duty was to protect the village from the shadows, just as his brother Itachi did. On the day that Naruto became Hokage, Sasuke would watch from a distance before he walked off into the shadows to begin his own investigation into Kaguya's dimensions. And that's where this edition of Naruto What If is going to end. So as you guys can see, some major and minor changes. As always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.